I, 28, female, have been married to my husband Cam, 32, for 2 years, and we've been together for 4 in total. He was a friend of my older brother, so I've known him even longer. Cam and I decided to try for a baby, and I'm currently 20 weeks with our first. When we told my mother-in-law the news, she mentioned that every woman in the family had a son before they had a daughter, so she thought the baby would be a boy. Cam and I told her we didn't care what we were having, we just wanted a happy and healthy child. Well, I'm having a girl, and we informed my mother-in-law of this earlier in the evening. Cam and I weren't on board with the idea of a huge dramatic gender reveal, so we just decided to go with casual announcements. My mother-in-law immediately seemed upset at this, and she told me that next time I needed to try harder to give my husband a son. I laughed and said, I didn't really have much choice in the matter, so if and when we have another child, there's nothing I could do to make sure we had a boy then either. She said that it was a fault on my end because she had a son first. She had all sons, and all of her other sons' wives had sons first. So that meant I was the odd one out. Cam told his mom that he didn't care about having a son or not, and that she needed to stop blaming me for something that couldn't possibly be my fault. Still, she started getting on to him about how he should want a child that can carry on the family name instead of a daughter that will just be given away. The whole thing was ridiculous. So I told her that once she looked into getting a refresher course and reading up on basic biology she should have learned in the 6th grade. She's free to give me a call and apologize for being ridiculous. My husband and I left after that, and in the car he said that, while he understood my frustration, he didn't appreciate me speaking to his mother like that because I implied that she was an idiot. I told him that I didn't appreciate how she spoke to me, and that he should be upset on our daughter's behalf, since his mom seems to think less of our child before she's even born. The rest of the car ride was silent. Honestly, we hadn't talked since returning home. He did defend me to her, so I know he's on my side. But I know he wouldn't have brought up the way I spoke to her unless he thought it was out of line. I feel like a bit of an idiot now, and I'm not sure if I should apologize to her or not. Not the idiot. As one of 2 daughters, tell your husband he needs to step up now, because this will not be the last time someone outright says he should want a son, and that daughters are worthless. That's what your mother-in-law said. Daughters get given away. Your daughter can have any name she wants, have any career she wants, and choose who her family will be. This is a hill to wage war on, Mama. Bear up, your daughter needs you. Mother-in-law is talking like a British monarch in the 1800s. It's always interesting how families with a culture of favoring boys over girls. Like girls are worthless, men must pass on the family name and have nothing going for them. There's nothing incredible about their genes besides how full of themselves they are. You can't imply someone's an idiot after they've already outed themselves as one. OP, you were not rude, and it's true. If she knew basic biology, she would know that the male's part determines the gender of the baby. There's nothing a woman can do. You probably hit a sore spot for your mother-in-law and your husband when you pointed out that she was uneducated. She's trying to make you feel inadequate, that you couldn't give them a grandson, which is out of line. Honestly, I wouldn't have been as nice as you. I would have brought out some Google, made sure the text was in a large font, and showed her the science. At this rate, I hope you have all girls, lol. I, 35 female, should start by acknowledging that 10 years ago, I was a huge idiot. Like, unquestionably, I had a drinking problem, and treated the people around me terribly, including my ex-boyfriend. I have been sober for 4 years now, working my program and trying to put better things into the universe. I recently started my first relationship while sober, and things are going well. We're about 3 months in, and he, 35, knows I'm in recovery and that I had a lot of people to make amends to in my life. A couple of weeks ago, we took a small step into being more serious when he invited me to a college friend's wedding, where I would get to meet many of the people he went to school with. His friend was the bride. We were getting ready at his apartment on the day of the wedding, and I saw on the invite that the groom's name was similar to my ex's. I didn't put the pieces together because my ex has an extremely common name, think Bob Smith or Steve Jones level common, and the invite used a variation of the first name. That's not what he went by when we were together. I also thought my ex had moved across the country after things ended between us. If you see where this is going, it was clearly a mistake on my part. We showed up at the church and sat with my boyfriend's friends on the bride's side. We had arrived before most people settled into their seats, and I didn't see anyone I recognized at the time, so I relaxed a bit and chatted with the people near us. When I heard the music for the ceremony starting, I looked forward and saw that the groom was my ex, and it was too late to leave quietly. I put my head down and tried to be as inconspicuous as possible, but he saw me because he turned as white as a ghost. I told my boyfriend the 30-second version of what happened, and he agreed we would skip the reception. When the ceremony ended, we tried to exit quietly, but my ex saw me on the way out of the church and got super angry, called me all sorts of names, and said I ruined his wedding by being there. The bride was just silently shooting daggers next to him the whole time. I just kept apologizing and saying it was a mistake, but I've spent the last week agonizing over whether I should have been more careful or double-checked before just showing up. I'm also trying to figure out if I should send a gift or a card, apologizing again, and explaining what happened. Before realizing the groom was my ex, I had contributed to the gift my boyfriend gave, but didn't send anything separately. Not the idiot. I mean, you didn't intentionally go to his wedding. Also, it was 10 years ago. Why is this guy ruining his wedding for it? He could have just ignored you and let you leave. Or whispered to the best man to tell you to leave, instead of making a scene and upsetting his current wife. If she traumatized him, it doesn't work like that. I've dated someone like OP, and if I saw him again after his actions, I couldn't promise I'd be rational on a highly emotional day. I honestly might throw up on the spot. I think I could refrain from an outburst, but I'd probably cower behind my husband until someone got him to leave. There's 100% chance he would be removed from the wedding, and 100% chance I'd be some form of upset upon seeing him there. There's a non-0% chance that I'd freak out. Send an email or text to your ex that starts with the line, "I promise I will not contact you again." I just wanted to apologize and explain myself. Explain that you're in recovery, and part of that is admitting that you were terrible to your boyfriend in the past, and you apologized for that. Explain that you attended the wedding as a guest of your new boyfriend, and had no idea it was his until you saw him. You don't even need to admit you saw the invitation or anything. Less is more here. Tell him you're so sorry for this terrible coincidence that brought him pain on his big day. You wish him and his new wife nothing but happiness. I disagree. OP's boyfriend should pass on the apology to the bride, just a brief, "sorry, we had no idea" sort of thing. I've been the wronged party before. Let me tell you, apologies are not for the victim. Apologies are to ease the abuser's guilt. If the groom feels re-victimized by her presence, then the best thing OP can do is stay away and deal with her feelings without involving him. My husband rented his aunt's home before we got married. He signed a month-to-month lease when he moved in. I moved in with him after our marriage because the rent was cheap. My parents recently came to me asking if they could park their RV at our home. I didn't see a problem with this. Our yards are really big and there's space. Because of the city ordinance, the RV has to be parked in the backyard. There was no RV gate in the fence. My husband went to his aunt and asked if we could install an RV gate. His aunt said no. My husband relayed the message to me, and my parents seemed upset when I told them. 2 days ago, I came home from work and saw that my dad had a construction crew at our home and had removed part of the fence for the gate. There was an apple tree in the way, and they couldn't fit the RV in the yard. My husband, angry, told my dad not to continue, that they needed to repair the fence. They needed to repair the fence. At this point, I felt like it was pointless. The fence guys had already built the columns for the gate. It would cost a lot more money to rebuild the fence. I told my dad to finish the job, but make sure it was left super clean and that it looked nice. I planned on talking to the aunt later and explaining what had happened. I didn't know that my dad had told the guys to remove the tree. My husband's aunt came by, saw the tree cut down, and started crying. She has refused to talk to my dad or me. When my husband came home, he found a 30-day notice on our door, terminating our lease. He tried to call his aunt, but she didn't answer the phone. He then called my mother-in-law, and she went to talk to our aunt. Later, I received several messages calling me an idiot for cutting down the aunt's late husband's tree. I had no idea he had planted the tree. Now my husband and his whole family are really angry with me. I never told them to remove the tree. I feel like I'm being thrown under the bus. Am I the idiot here? You are the idiot for letting it continue when your husband said no. The aunt said no to the gate, and no is a complete sentence. Your parents removed a tree from a yard they don't own. How stupid and selfish of them. Everyone is the idiot besides your husband, his aunt, and his family. The aunt can hire a lawyer and sue your parents and the company who did it without her permission. And honestly, I hope she does. Tree law. That tree could easily be worth $150,000 in a lawsuit. They knowingly betrayed the aunt and planned on cutting down the tree. Was the plan just to apologize? Say oops? There's no way the aunt should have anything to do with her again. I'm glad I don't see any mention of children in this because she completely betrayed her husband, his family. Your dad is mostly the idiot. He started the gate and he ordered the tree to be removed. But why didn't you stop all of this as soon as you realized what was happening? You're the point of contact for your side of the family, so they blame you. You're gonna have to own this one. Who are you married to? Your father or your husband? Why did you not put your foot down with your father? I'm just sorry that your husband has to share the consequences of this. Because she knew what her parents were doing. She lied to her husband. She lied to her husband's aunt. And now she's lying to everyone. What's your endgame, OP? You and your parents are in the wrong. Nothing is gonna fix this. I feel so bad for your husband and his family. I don't see this marriage lasting. You'll probably make yourself really hard to get rid of once he decides to divorce you. My male 33, my parents are deceased. I have a younger sister, 25, who is married and expecting. I am also married, but we do not have children due to health issues on both sides. I visit and check on my sister from time to time. I am not on great terms with her husband, 31, but we're civil to each other. She started calling and asking for my help more often since she got pregnant. I have no issue with this, but my brother-in-law thinks I'm being too involved in my sister and the baby's life. Last week, I got a call from my sister asking if I could take her to the doctor's office. It was a gender reveal appointment. I asked why her husband didn't take her, and she explained he was supposed to drive her, but he had to attend his mom's birthday and asked her to reschedule. But she refused. I took her to the appointment, but my brother-in-law called and was furious, saying I shouldn't have gotten involved because now I'd cost him a precious moment in finding out if he was having a girl or a boy. Basically, I took this experience away from him, and he called me weird for being too involved in my sister's marriage and sticking my nose in it to the point where I made the doctor think I was her husband. I told him the doctor thought I was her husband because of his absence and lack of commitment as a father. He blew up at me and I hung up on him. My wife said she understands that I want to help my sister out, but that I might have gone too far and should have respected my brother-in-law's boundaries. So am I the idiot? Not the idiot. He blew up on you because he prioritized his mother's birthday visit over his wife's appointment for their child's gender reveal. Lack of commitment as a father is one way to put it. I call it an entitled, spoiled mama's boy. I pity your sister for having a husband like that. She'll soon have 2 children to take care of. Good on you for being a great big brother. I can tell you're gonna be a great uncle, too. Keep it up. Your sister is gonna need you. More than that, he sounds like an idiot who wants to isolate her from family. He called you weird for being too involved with your sister, likely to make you pull away from her. He just got lucky she doesn't have parents she can rely on, so isolating her is easier. He had to attend his mother's birthday and asked her to reschedule, but she refused. How did these 2 events, scheduled months in advance, end up overlapping? I'm just confused as to why the mother-in-law decided to have a birthday party sometime Monday through Friday before 5 p.m. because those are typical working hours for a clinic where ultrasounds would be done. I bet the mother-in-law's celebration was last minute. If a man can't cut the cord by the time he's 30, he'll continue to have dysfunctional romantic relationships for a long time. It's admirable to stay close to family in a healthy way, but this isn't it. I'm married to my husband of 4 years, and we have children similar in age to our previous partners. My husband has a daughter, Susie, who is 21 years old, and I have a daughter, Lynn, who is also 21 years old. This year, Lynn started her first year of university and is studying in another part of the country. She has gotten a loan to cover tuition, and I have sent her some money to help with living expenses. She is also planning on doing seasonal work over the holidays to earn extra money. Susie has also started her second year of university in another part of the country. My husband has been regularly sending her money throughout her studies and covering her tuition. Recently, he came to me and said that Susie was facing financial struggles due to car problems and asked if I could contribute and send her some money to help with expenses. We have a prenuptial agreement and keep our finances separate, except for splitting rent and bills. I politely declined and asked if Susie had reached out to her mother for financial assistance. Just to clarify, her mother has always been involved in her life. My husband took offense to my question and asked if I even cared about helping family members. He argued that it was only fair to send Susie money since I had sent money to Lynn. I reminded him that he does not send money to Lynn. He claimed that Lynn was not struggling and became angry, accusing me of playing favorites. I was taken aback by his sudden outburst and explained to my husband that both Susie and Lynn have one parent who is financially supporting them by sending similar amounts of money. Therefore, their levels of support are not significantly different. My husband did not want to hear it. He called me selfish and accused me of being a terrible step-parent. This situation is concerning, and I believe you should investigate where your husband's money is going. Based on your description, he should not have even asked for your help, and his reaction was excessive. It is common for people who know they are wrong to become defensive. It is also worrying that your husband is not being transparent about why his daughter's car troubles have left her struggling to the point of asking her step-parent for help, instead of being supported by her biological parents. It seems suspicious. Is your husband struggling with gambling or addiction? Are you sure he is financially stable? Perhaps Susie is not good at managing her finances. I suggest sitting down with your husband and having a conversation. If you do not want to financially support Susie, that is understandable. However, if you do, perhaps you could consider buying her a grocery store gift card with a maximum of $100 per week, so you know she is being fed and your money is being used effectively. Considering that Susie's mother is still actively involved in her life and your husband does not send money to your daughter, I do not believe you owe anything to your stepdaughter. You can point out that your daughter is taking out loans and working while your husband covers Susie's tuition. He cannot cover Susie's tuition, be okay with Lynn taking out loans, and then demand more money for Susie. That is unreasonable. Thank goodness for the prenuptial agreement.